Rain does strange things to a city. It blurs edges, softens hard lines, washes away noise, and somehow makes the loneliness louder. On the worn stone steps of St. Gabriel's Church, a young woman curled into herself, hugging her thin jacket against the chill. Most passers-by didn't see her, or pretended not to. She was 22 but looked younger, or maybe older, depending on whether you counted the exhaustion in her eyes as years. Her name was Mira. The world had not been gentle with her. She watched the streets through the curtain of rain, wondering how everything had collapsed so quickly, wondering how long she could keep pretending the ache in her stomach was something other than hunger. Her life once held dreams, a small apartment, classes in photography, a part-time cafe job where people knew her name. But then came the things people never planned for, the medical bills that drowned her, the job she lost when she couldn't keep up, the landlord who finally stopped being patient, the friends who slowly faded away when she needed help the most. Now she had nothing except a backpack, a damp jacket, and a feeling that maybe the world had already forgotten she existed. Then, just as she lowered her head and prepared to disappear into another hour of cold silence, she heard soft footsteps. A tiny voice followed them. "I think you need a hug." Mira lifted her eyes, blinking rainwater and disbelief away. Standing before her was a girl no older than 6, wearing a bright yellow raincoat decorated with cartoon clouds. Her brown curls were tucked under a tiny hood, and her small hands clutched a soggy paper bag as though it were treasure. Behind her stood an older woman, maybe her mother, rushing to apologize. "I'm so sorry," the woman said, flustered. "Lila, honey, you can't just." But the little girl shook her head fiercely, stepping closer. "She looks sad. And Papa says sad people need hugs more than anyone." There was no hesitation in her voice. No fear. Just pure, disarming sincerity. Mira felt her breath hitch. When was the last time anyone had looked at her with anything but pity, or worse, disgust? When was the last time someone had spoken to her without expecting her to justify her existence? Lila opened her arms. Mira glanced at the mother, expecting her to intervene. But instead, the woman softened, stepping back as if giving permission. And then Mira did something she never expected. She opened her arms too. The hug was small, warm, and soft, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. And in that moment, something in Mira cracked open, something she had kept locked away for months. Tears slipped down her cheeks, mixing with the rain, and she let herself hold on for just a few seconds longer than needed. When they parted, the little girl smiled brightly. "I made you something," Lila said, holding out the soggy paper bag. "It's a cookie. I saved it from school. I was gonna eat it after ballet, but Papa says sharing is more fun." Mira tried to speak, but her voice broke. "Thank you," she whispered. The mother knelt beside her daughter and met Mira's gaze gently. "We're here for the shelter's food drive. If you'd like, they're opening the doors soon. You can get warm. There's hot soup today." Mira nodded slowly, still stunned. I didn't think they'd let me in. I came earlier but I was too scared to go inside." The mother gave a knowing nod. Sometimes the first step is the hardest. Lila took Mira's hand as though it were the most natural thing in the world. "Come on, I'll show you. They have blankets. Soft ones." And for the first time in a long while, Mira stood up not because she had to, but because she felt pulled toward something hopeful. Inside the church hall, warmth spread through the air like a welcome embrace. Volunteers bustled around ladling soup, folding clothes, and offering smiles that actually reached their eyes. Mira sat at a table near the back with her hands wrapped around a steaming bowl of tomato soup. The warmth traveled up her fingers, seeped into her chest, and melted a little more of the numbness she'd been living in. The mother introduced herself as Anna. Lila, now freed from her raincoat, hopped around the hall like a tiny sunbeam illuminating every corner. "She makes friends faster than I can keep track," Anna laughed. "My husband used to say she has a gift for seeing people." Mira glanced at the girl and smiled. "She saw me. That's exactly what I mean," Anna said softly. "Most adults look, but they don't really see." As they talked, Mira found herself opening up, carefully at first, then more freely. She shared how she used to love photography, how she lost her job, how she drifted from couch to couch until even those options disappeared. She didn't mention everything, not the worst moments, not the fear, not the nights she'd slept behind dumpsters just to stay out of sight, but she shared enough that Anna's expression softened with genuine compassion. "You've been carrying more than any one person should," Anna said. "But you're here now. And you're safe tonight." Safe. The word felt foreign, but comforting. After dinner, volunteers directed people toward cots and blankets. Mira hadn't slept in a warm place in weeks, and she felt her body sink into the softness with an ache of gratitude. But just as she closed her eyes, she noticed Lila skipping over, holding a small piece of paper. "It's for you," Lila whispered. Mira unfolded it. Inside was a drawing, a stick figure girl crying in the rain, and another girl in a yellow coat hugging her. Above them was a shaky childlike heart. Mira felt her throat tighten. "This is beautiful. It's us," Lila said proudly. "Because hugs fix broken hearts." Anna soon came to retrieve her daughter, and Mira thanked them both again. "You helped me more than you know." "We're here again next Wednesday," Anna replied. "If you need anything." When they left, Mira held the drawing to her chest. For the first time in months, she slept without fear. The next morning, she woke to a new challenge. Reality. One warm night did not erase homelessness. But something had shifted. She had a place to return to, something steady, reliable. And most importantly, she had a reason to try again. Over the next few weeks, Mira visited the church regularly. She helped set tables, folded clothes, and even learned the volunteers' routines. They began to trust her, and soon they asked if she wanted to join as a volunteer when she could. "I'd love that," she said, surprised by how much she meant it. While they couldn't offer paid work yet, they connected her with a local resource center that helped with job placements. The first challenge was rebuilding her confidence. The second was practical, getting clean clothes, printing a resume, and preparing for interviews. Some days she felt hopeful, other days she felt crushed beneath the weight of everything she'd lost. But every Wednesday, without fail, Lila would run up to her and hug her like they were old friends who'd been separated for years. "Did you eat enough today? Are you warm? Did you smile at least 3 times? You have to smile 3 times. It's a rule." Mira laughed every time. Anna would hand her small bags of food, or a pair of gloves, sometimes even a notebook for her photography ideas. "You'll get back on your feet," Anna would tell her. "It just takes time." One particular afternoon, as volunteers packed up, Mira lingered near the church doors. She had finally gotten a job interview scheduled for the next day, at a cafe. The same kind of job she once had. She tried to stay positive, but doubts crawled up her spine. What if she failed? What if they judged her? What if she wasn't worth saving? As if sensing her turmoil, Lila arrived with her usual enthusiasm. "Are you thinking sad thoughts?" she asked. Mira sighed. "Maybe a few." Lila shook her head firmly. "Nope. You're not allowed to. Not tomorrow. Because tomorrow is your big day." Mira smiled despite herself. "How did you know?" "Mommy told me. But I also feel it. In here." She pressed her hand to her chest. "You're gonna do amazing." Something about the certainty in her voice lifted Mira's spirit. "Thank you, Lila." "Hugs for good luck," the girl declared, wrapping her small arms around her again. And somehow, that hug became Mira's anchor. The next morning, Mira walked into the cafe with trembling hands but a determined heart. She wore the cleanest clothes she had, her hair tied back neatly, and her resume folded carefully in her bag. Challenges greeted her immediately. Her nerves made her voice shake. The manager's questions felt intimidating. Another candidate walked out before her, looking polished and confident. But then she remembered a tiny voice saying, "You're gonna do amazing." So Mira steadied herself, smiled, and spoke honestly about her experience, about the customers she used to chat with, the early morning rushes she handled, the tasks she learned quickly. She didn't mention being homeless. She didn't mention losing everything. She kept her answers clear, warm, and genuine, like the person she used to be. The manager nodded thoughtfully. "We'll call you," he said. It wasn't a promise. But it wasn't a rejection either. 2 days later, while Mira was helping sort donated coats at the church, Anna approached her with a bright expression. "You have a phone call. Use the church office." Mira hurried inside. The manager's voice greeted her. "Is this Mira? I'd like to offer you the position, if you're still interested." Her breath caught. Yes, absolutely." When she came out of the office, tears streamed down her cheeks. Anna hugged her tightly. "You did it," she whispered. But the moment that truly melted her heart came seconds later. Because from across the room, a high-pitched squeal rang out. "Mira is happy," Lila shouted, racing toward her with her arms wide. Mira scooped her into a hug, laughing through her tears. "Yes," she said, "I'm happy." And it was true. Over the next months, Mira rebuilt her life piece by piece. She rented a small room. She bought second-hand clothes for work. She saved every extra dollar. And slowly, cautiously, she picked up her camera again. Not for assignments or deadlines or school. Just for herself. For joy. For healing. Every Wednesday, she still visited the church, but now not for help. She came to volunteer, to serve soup, to fold clothes, to listen to stories of others who were struggling the way she once had. One day, as she was handing out blankets, she felt a small tug on her sleeve. "Are you okay?" Lila asked. Mira knelt down, smiling. "I'm more than okay." Lila nodded, satisfied. "Good. Because you give lots of hugs now. That means your heart is better." Myra's throat tightened. "It's better because you helped fix it." Lila's grin widened. "I knew it." Anna stepped beside her daughter. "We're proud of you," she said warmly. "You've come so far." Mira looked around the hall, the volunteers, the cots, the warm lights reflecting off the church windows, and felt something deep, steady, and unshakable settle inside her. Hope. Real hope. She realized then that sometimes life doesn't give you miracles. Sometimes it gives you people, tiny, unexpected, miraculous people who show up with a hug in the rain and completely change the direction of your life. And sometimes, that's enough to start everything over again.